when I took on this job, I remember last year, I sat down with my 3 kids and I told them, Mommy is going to be away a lot for the next 2-3 years. I will probably miss most of your school meetings. I will probably not see you in the evenings when you go to bed. I'll see you in the mornings when you sleep. Have those communications, however young they are, they appreciate it because you're explaining it to them, you know? Do I feel sometimes like, okay, I've been away a little bit too much? Of course. But then I keep also reminding myself, look, these people are visitors in my life. In another 16 years, not even 16, for my older daughter, in another 4 years, she's out of my life. The others in another 6, in another 5. And then what? And then what? If my whole life was around making sure that I am the epitome of super mother, and now my super children have left, what do I have left? You know, the lady who spoke before talked about consultancies, talked about what. But if you're picking that up, when now you're in your almost 50s, and you haven't quite been very engaged in an active capacity, you know, it's also not going to be very easy. Because who are you going to connect with? These jobs you're looking for, who's going to bring them your way? You know, what you're going to be offering, who exactly is going to be those people that you're connecting with after all? You've been away, you know. It's not a bad thing. I mean, I'm just saying, you have that conversation with yourself and figure out what is important for you. And let's not keep up with the who? What are they called? Yeah. And you keep looking over at your neighbor. Hey, my neighbor has done this. Hey, my friend has done this. So even me, I have to do it. And then at night you're crying at how much it's giving you so much grief. Who told you to do this one when it's like, you just think you are. You know, we struggle with that, I think, as women. And it's important to walk away from some of those unhelpful things. At the end of the day, when you have done it all, and your time comes, and people are waving goodbye to the life that you had, whether you're being put in the ground or you're being cremated or whatever it is you choose to do, what will have your life meant? You know, at least that's what I ask myself. What will my life have meant? So at that point, I doubt very much that it will matter what my neighbor thought, that it will matter what my WhatsApp group members thought, that it will matter what my chama thought, what my church community thought, that I went to a church service and I didn't wear the proper outfit, that I did this and I did. I mean, we box ourselves into all sorts of situations for things that 3 months down the road you won't even remember. You know? So how do we, for me the question is always, how do we unshackle our minds from those limiting factors and imagine how far you would go if you get out of your own way, you know? Now, going back to my slides, the next one. So what gets me going? I will share a little bit of what I do, because this is just for me. If it doesn't work for you, it's okay. If it works for you, feel free to borrow some of the tips, but just find what works for you. So for me, I focus on service delivery. What has kept me going in that job is just getting the medicines to the facilities. That's all. The noise, the disruptions, the fights, which are vicious, cannot be the thing I go to work every day to deal with. You know? It has to be that thing that you know is happening over there, and over there, and there, and there, and there, and there, but my focus is, how am I going to get medicines to Makueni, to Machakos, to Turkana, to Baringo, to West Pokot, to Uber. That is my focus. And that keeps me going. Because it truly is fulfilling when you hear the counties saying, we got our commodities. You know? And now they are having another very interesting challenge, which is created by our success, which is theft of drugs. Because if we weren't taking drugs, what would be there to be stolen? So now the counties have to deal with making sure the drugs are not getting stolen, you know, because that cannot be. That's not our mandate. That's the facilities, the counties. But that keeps me going. So focus on that you feel is your purpose at that particular season in your life. And service delivery for us, getting the dawa to mashinani is what matters for us. Family and friends, those are wonderful things. You know, they keep us afloat. They keep us feeling like it's okay. You know, even if the lady before was saying you're like this, even if you're like that, you feel tomorrow will be a better day. Because you have to take your mind away from what you do every day, every now and then. You know, even if it's just for 2 hours, do something different, you know. Leave your phone behind, go for that long walk, go for that swim, go and do your nails, you know, go and catch up with your chama friends and gossip and do whatever it is you do in those things, you know, and that just really keeps you going. The team, surround yourself, the lady spoke about it, surround yourself with competent people, you know, people who are not going to make the work more difficult for you. This is not something that women struggle with, even men struggle with, that you find when people get into these roles of leadership, of authority, roles of authority, they want to have people who are less skilled, so that you can be the king of the ivory tower, the queen of the tower. You know, you're the only one who knows. These other people are just people of come here, go there. Nobody who can actually contribute anything constructive. Why do you want to make your life so hard? I mean, why? Wouldn't it be nice if you just actually have people who are even more competent than you are, who are able to just take the burden off you, you know, and then you can be able to go off to that your weekend you want to go, I don't know, to Masai Mara or wherever you are, knowing that there is somebody doing the job. You know, me, I never understand why people are afraid of competent people, because there's enough space for all of us to shine. For all of us, you know, just shift the way you think, shift the way you see the world, and the world will give you exactly what you're seeing. She spoke about it. You attract what you are, you know, the law of attraction. You will attract the positiveness that you exude. You will attract the good things that you think about. Similarly, you will attract all the misery that you let your mind live in. All of it. Think you're the worst mother? For sure you will be. You think you're the worst employee? That you will live to be. You think you're the worst spouse? You will become. You're the worst sister? That is what you'll be. Because that's what you tell your mind every day. So inadvertently, all your actions become now affirmations to what you've been telling your mind. It's not witchcraft. It's just how the mind works. Just how the mind works, you know? So it's important for us to be aware of all these things and do the best that we can. Wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing, it's an important role you're playing, you know? It's not just the managers, the CEOs, the directors who are playing an important role. Everybody has a role to play. Right to the tea girl, right to the janitor, right to the house girl we have in the house, the garden boy. Everybody plays a role in the big machinery that supports your life. How do you recognize all those people that play that role and get them shaped towards helping you to fulfill that is what is your destiny, or whatever it is you want to call it. Whatever it is you have purposed your life is about, you have to shape everybody around you towards it. Whilst you're doing that, don't forget yourself. Don't forget the inner child within you that keeps wanting to just have some time to rest, that keeps yearning to be told, I love you, you're good enough. And you don't need to wait for somebody to tell you, I love you. You know, one time I was talking to a therapist who was telling me, hug yourself and tell you love yourself. I remember looking at her thinking, that's ridiculous. And then I did it and I thought, maybe it's not so bad. You know, if somebody else tells me I love you, then I'll tell myself, you know, I'll tell myself, you know, so that you sleep at least your mind, the inner child feeling that it has been fed. You know, because we all have that inner child, even the men, though they don't like to admit it. You know, they struggle with the same things because human we all are. So in whatever it is you're doing, look at life as a very adaptive challenge that requires you to have adaptive solutions. You can't have one tool set, you have to have many tools. There'll be a day when you'll be the really great feminine leader. There'll be a day you'll need to be a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more stern and take no prisoners, because that's what the circumstance demands. You know, it should be about, this is how my leadership style is. No, it should be you apply it. You apply it according to the situation, you know, because that's all adaptive leadership is about. And it also allows you to recognize that if I have this battle, and I am winning this part, but this part I have not won, I can put this part that is not yet solved on ice. Leave it. Put it on the side first. Work with what is working. Come back later and remove this and figure out if now is the right time. Do I have the right allies? Do I have the right skill sets? Do I have the right resources? Do I have the right environment to now move this forward? You don't have to have 100%. Progress is underrated. We think excellence is everything. It isn't. It's just going to drive you nuts. Work with the parts that are working. And those that are not, it's okay. You don't have to solve all the problems in one day. You don't have to have all the answers today. It is okay not to have an answer. It is okay. Even if you're the leader, it is okay. There are so many moments. I'm asked, what do we do about this? And I say, I don't know. Apply what it is, the tools you have to your different problems as you see fit. And there is no right or wrong. Your life is yours to live. Live it the best way that God created you to. And when you take the final bow, your spirit will be happy that you lived a full life and you lived that life your way. Thank you.
Okay, personally, I'm really, really inspired, and I don't regret coming here after the first and even the second presentation, because as a young entrepreneur in this industry, oh my God, I don't even know where to start from. It's not easy. Running a logistics company, young, single, I get judged a lot. You go to these Q4 meetings and these forums, and they look at me like, okay, who are you? So, yeah, sometimes you feel intimidated, but then I've just learned to, well, okay, Barry, you have to do this. Professionally, well, I didn't study anything to do with logistics. I'm a journalist by profession, and I loved. I wanted to be the next Catherine Kasavuli or whatever. But I've been in the industry for more than 10 years now, in this industry, and I love what I do. I love the industry, and I just hope that we can be more. Every time I see a woman who is a leader, I'm just so inspired. It reminds me, Barry, you're not alone. You're working with several other women.
I really admire you. When I saw your appointment like 7 months ago, I was like, oh my God. How will you survive in that? in that jungle? I mean, with all those vicious people around you. Is there a time that you come across a request that is an ethical, I'm really straight, an ethical, you know, corrupt and all that, and how do you say no? Because from what we've heard from you here, you come out as a very principled person. So how do you handle those situations? Because they come across us in our industry. There are those clients who even ask you directly, I would like to do something to this invoice so that I pay less duty to the Kenyan government. And that money is what is driving your country, especially foreigners. Particularly some dialects. I'm not going to say who they are, but we all know who they are. They come and they say, you know, we'd like to do this. How do you handle that?
Being very very clear in your mind about what it is you can or can't do helps. because then you're not second-guessing yourself. So I'll tell you what I always say. I say to them, I have 3 young children whom I'm not leaving to go to jail. So now I need you to do exactly everything above board, because there is no price that is good enough for me to leave my young children and go to jail as you enjoy the benefits of what you're asking me to do. And they back off. No, of course I was not asking you to do anything on procedure. I'm like, excellent, now we're on the same page. You know, and then you move on. So you have to be tactical, you know, in how you're going to respond and deal with this request, you know. I mean, we live in the real world. These requests will come even from very, very, very high officers. So, you know, you have to figure out how to keep, you know, ensuring that, that you're doing things above board, but more importantly also, that you understand very clearly, and I say this even to our suppliers, I say to them, listen, you're very important to me, because cancer does not manufacture any of those commodities. However, because I know that the suppliers are very important, and they are so critical to the success of cancer's delivery of service, that doesn't mean then that the supplier's interest overrides the interest of the patient. We must find a happy medium. You make your reasonable profit as a supplier. Me, I'm able to get the drugs at a reasonable price, and I'm able to give them to the patients at an affordable price. Full stop. Let's just stop this greediness that we have gotten as a country that is just ridiculous. So, you know, I'm constantly pushing back on that. Does that make me popular? Absolutely not. Does it make the world more? Absolutely. But hey, you know, it is the space I'm in, and what's life without a bit of excitement, you know? I think it's important to stir some waters and make a few people uncomfortable here and there, maybe some angry, but hey, you know, as long as you go home and you can sleep peacefully, knowing that you did what was right, yeah, somebody may be upset, but hey, me, I had my good sleep because what I did was what I needed to do, right? You can't worry too much about how everybody feels about every decision you make. I mean, it is not a popularity contest. You know, it is an institution that has to be run. And it has to be run by the right decisions and the right choices that make the institution work for Kenya. It's not an emotional subject, you know, so people make it very emotional. Oh, but some people have been sent home. Oh, but then say, well, but why are we so emotional about it? These are business decisions that have to be made for the institution to work. Which means, yes, there will be quite a few people who are not very happy all the time, but hey, such is life. When are you always happy? Huh? When are you always happy? So sometimes you do. When I talked about this adaptiveness, you know, there will be times when you're laughing and you're all very, you know, cordial, and then there are times when you have to tell each other the truth, however painful that truth is, you know, and you deal with the consequences of being the bearer of truths that people don't want to hear. You know, so yes, it's tough, but hey, I've been there for 8 months, I haven't died yet. And, you know, I'm still doing the job. I can tell you that the counties are very happy and they're saying that they're getting the drugs. So for me, that gives me a lot of comfort that all the effort is bearing fruit. So I don't think we should be afraid of the challenges. Yes, it is a tank full of sharks. It is a very difficult environment. But again, it's what you set your mind to do. Can I do this? Yes, I have never been one to say no to a good challenge. You know, that has been me my whole life. My mother will tell you the same way. So, yes, it's tough, but yes, I'm up to the challenge and I'm doing it every day. And yes, I have days when I feel like I want to pull out my hair. And then, the next day I'm like, hang on, I was pulling out my hair because of who? Who is this who was making me pull out my hair? Oh, no. Let's go back in there. Let's get this done. You know, and you have to keep being your own biggest cheerleader. Yeah?
And I believe you're the right person for that job. And when I look at you, I feel encouraged, and I believe Kenya is making very good strides towards us having inclusivity and equity. Actually, the theme of this year's Women International Day is about equity. And when I look at counties like Nakuru, where I remember people joking, calling it Nakuru Girls, when everybody elected was a lady, we have very many lady governors, and we have you and many others sitting at your position. My question is, what are you doing from a personal perspective in your organization to ensure equity and inclusivity in the workplace, especially for women?
What I have been doing, because it's not been in a structured way, is finding people who are doing great work and giving them the opportunity to do more and shining the spotlight. And it's funny, even within cancer, a lot of the people I'm discovering who are so great at their jobs are young girls, young women in the warehouses, in procurement, in finance. And they are really, really, really doing their jobs and doing them well in a very difficult environment. So giving them that sponsorship, you know, in terms of making sure that they know, that I know they're doing a great job. You can see them walk with a little more bounce, you know. You can see them feel a little bit more appreciated because it's about noticing the world around you. You do have to do those small things, even as we aspire to do the more structured things, which we will do, you know. But right now, where we are at, we don't have the structured activities in terms of ensuring that women this or women that. And in fact, we have quite a large number of women in cancer, you know. So in matters of inclusivity, it is at the top where it has been male dominated, you know, the directorships, the CEOs, all those are big boys, you know, all the time. Even now, I sit and I'm surrounded by all these men whom I have to open my eyes wide sometimes to make them understand I'm really serious. You know, and somebody's going to have some serious consequences if you think I'm joking, you know. But lower down, we have so many women. So, you know, it's about trying to figure out how to get a lot more of the women also sitting at that C-level, you know, positions. Yeah, so thank you for the question.
Just want to say a big thank you so much. And I want to do something that is unusual just before you rush. Okay, we have been doing some mentorship programs. That means we have students who are in logistics, operation, and procurement field. And every time we have events like this, we do sponsor. Like last year, we sponsored 2, which they came. We were with them. This time, we sponsored 3, but unfortunately, only 1 came. So this is a golden opportunity that I would like to present to this lady, because she's supposed to have or to go for her attachment this May. So I want, I'm just going to request that please, I want to bring her to you so that you can assist her for her attachment. She's over there from Chuka University. Please. Please accept her sister.
Done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies. I wish you a really good rest of the day. All the very best. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.
I would call it Kenyan's habit, or I don't know, our behavior. They fear things to do with online things. They always see them as fraudsters. Sinimo. So when we did our first advertisement, we had a lot of inquiries, like 30 plus, for the DPD training that we had for the first time. That is 2021, around September. Yes. And now, the first person to trust us is with our services. And I remember very well, he made 75% of the fee that you are charging. He didn't know me, he has never met me, but following whatever we were doing online, he made commitments. And that one has made us to be where we are now. That has made Logistics Board to be where we are, because he gave us the courage. After seeing someone has committed his finances to you, now you get that courage to do what you wanted to do. Dr. Harden, wherever you are, please, just stand and say a word. We really appreciate you so much as Logistics Board. You gave us the courage to be where we are today.
My name is Abdi Khadun. I'm a pharmacist, a toxicologist, but I'm in supply chain partially at the moment. I've been working with cancer for close to 7 years before I was sent home, based on what they call the transformation, or I don't know, and reforms, which is still ongoing, and I think in 2 years still on. It has not been concluded, but I'm still actually getting salary from cancer, because one thing I stand for is I'm a man of integrity. I don't really like people messing up with things, and the reason why I'm out of cancer is because of my son. I was actually the first person to raise the first red flag, where I wrote on 9th of May 2020, I wrote my first email to Ministry of Health, and the title, if I can remember very well, was "Cancer is Bleeding." That was even before it was aired. What I saw is there was a lot of irregular procurement, something they called, it was reverse procurement, where you are given a letter, you supply, and then everything else is done backwards. So I said, I'm not doing this because it's going nowhere. Because what we are doing is what cancer is doing is, as she said there, it's service delivery, ensuring that we give Kenyans the most critical commodity, that is, let's say, start with insulin. If I procure an insulin at 500 shillings, and maybe I can get an insulin at 200 shillings, how many Kenyans am I denying that essential commodity, which is actually keeping them alive? So I said I'm not doing anything related to that reverse logistics. So that is how I developed actually the enemy, and that's how actually I stayed out of work for 2 years. I'm still out, but I'm not regretting. One thing I know is, yes, if today I had actually an opportunity to make money and get the brown envelope, but I say I'm not getting. Why? Because eventually if I collect money, millions of shillings from suppliers, because I know there is an entrepreneur here who really, I don't know, maybe whether you are the type who goes to office and tell happy, can we make sure this thing was a petition? But let me be very frank with you. If I go back tomorrow, don't approach me in such. Maybe I will make a friendship here. But brown envelope is not in my list. So I think what I can advise people, or I can tell people is, yes, I normally tell people, yes, you collect money, you get a lot of wealth, but one day you will be called, just like that, and you leave all those wealth on earth. So why deny someone else life, or actually something that can give him a life? Thank you very much, Logistics Board. I was actually among the first team that was to be trained. I actually believe in getting skills, and that's why I say now I need to, because of my background was pharmacist, and trained, specialized toxicologist. I'm actually the vice chair of National Toxicology Society of Kenya, where we are trying to establish some national poison center and the national poison laboratory, which is actually in our, currently working with Ministry of Health. It's not easy to penetrate because if you don't have money, it's not easy to get those breakthroughs. So currently we are working with Ministry of Health to see whether we can establish a poison center, because currently I think most of the tests are done outside Kenya. If today we get, God forbid, we get food poison here, we might not be assisted. Test sample has to be sent to certain country outside Kenya for it to be ascertained what it is. So thank you very much, Logistic Board. And Logistic Board has really taught me a lot. It has given me a skill that I believe will help me if more I go back to Kenya or I go elsewhere. And whatever I'm doing is, I'm actually telling people that every day that first, it's not actually about making money. It's actually about, the first speaker said, is we need to build a brand, we need to develop a skill.
My classmate for the first time. Hi. So everything has been online. I'm glad to be here. And like first speaker said, we need to brand right. That's exactly what we are doing. And that's what we do. And I'm in a company where we don't have women in logistics or supply chain. And I want to continuously build myself. And the networks that we're getting from Logistics Board is what has brought me where I am.
My name is Emily Okonjo. I currently head procurement at Stanbic Bank. And as you can see, there's a lot of Stanbic around us. I'm very proud of our blue brand. And I have a number of people from Stanbic, so before I speak, I would like to please recognize them. Team Blue, please stand so people can see you. Blue. See how much support I got when I mentioned to my bank that I'm actually coming to present in this forum. And I lucky. Yes, thank you. I also have family here. My sister walked in after we had done the introduction. I would like her to say hi. Hi. Yeah, her name is Joyna Okonjo. She's the CEO of JNO Advocates. And she's really proud supporter of women initiatives. So when she heard that we're celebrating women in supply chain today, she wanted to be part of this. Yeah, so I'm very happy to be here and to share this topic on leadership with you. And I hope we are going to enjoy it. So, of course, it's an anticlimax speaking after the guest speaker has spoken. So I hope you still have some energy to listen to me, yeah? Okay. So today I'm going to talk to you about defining and developing your authentic leadership style. I know many of us have done leadership courses, many of us have done leadership training with KISIM, with CIPS, with many forums in our organization. So leadership is probably a very boring topic to keep listening to over and over again, right? But today we are talking about something specific in leadership called authentic leadership style. So Mark Robbins says that whatever is happening to us in our workplace, whether it's stressful, whether it's painful, whether it's joyful, it follows us into our work as well. Yeah? We may think that we have to keep these realities in our lives under wraps and act as if we have it all together because we are leaders. But Mark says these things actually follow us to work. He goes ahead to say, however, we can work better, lead successfully, and be more engaged and inspiring if instead of trying to hide who we are, we show up fully and authentically. So for us to thrive as leaders and to have the kind of impact we truly want to have on others, it is essential to lead with authenticity. Yeah? So this subject of authentic leadership is one of the new trending management topics. And our next question is, then, what then is this authentic leadership? So we have three different writers who have defined authentic leadership in three different ways. So we have one renowned journalist called Mary Pratt. She says that authentic leadership is a type of management style in which people act in a real, genuine, and sincere way that is true to who they are as individuals. Okay? I think that is really quite self-explanatory. The next writer says, authentic leadership is when you can see a clear and consistent set of values through a leader's actions and words, regardless of the situation. So this writer focuses on consistency. Then the Center for Creative Leadership says, building a more authentic leadership image is not about creating a false picture of yourself. When Terry came here, she said that all you just need to be is just be yourself. You don't need to package yourself in a certain manner for you to be the CEO of Kemsa.
You know, you just need to be your real self. Bring your real self out here. Yeah. So it says that you need to recognize the genuine aspects of yourself that should be coming across to other people but are not. So this is just a quick overview of how different people view what authentic leadership is. But what we see really stands out is the words real, genuine, sincere, consistent values. Yeah? We're talking about bringing your real self, genuine aspects of yourself. So you see where we are driving at with this subject of authentic leadership. Okay? So then why is it important? Why is this authentic leadership something that is so important that as leaders we need to embrace? Why authentic leadership? Why is it a subject that is trending now? Why is it a management topic that is coming up now in leadership more than ever before? So they say that authentic leaders produce results. I will still take you back to the example of Terry. When she was presenting here, there's something specific she said, that she's concerned about service delivery. Her biggest reason why she goes to work is to ensure that that medicine gets to the county. And when that medicine gets to the county, it is not lost. It actually gets to the patient who actually requires it. So authentic leaders are about service delivery, are about results.
That's a very good question, and thank you so much for your presentation. I think we saw the keynote speaker here. Did we think she was authentic? Is she a leader in this country? And what do you take away from her? What I took away from her was be yourself unapologetically, right? Because it takes you and me and the other person. It's not about what is the crowd doing and what is the crowd saying. And I believe there's space for everyone. The Bible tells us that if we are quiet, we who have the right direction and we have the right standing, then evil will overwhelm the land. So it comes back down to you and me and others. And to be very practical, one of my bosses who I worked with since 2017 was an authentic person, did not take bribes. He was a very senior official in government. And to me that was a true testimony that it's possible.
Leaders survive in this country. Yes and no. Yes, if you're ready to be bashed, and no, if you're not ready to be bashed. Because the normal thing is having non-authentic leaders. So if you go the path of authentic, then expect bashing, but of course expect to be the Hall of Fame.
To be bashed. And sometimes the bashing is painful. The consequences sometimes are dire. So sometimes I ask myself, how come there are people out there looking for faithful people and wondering and writing about it and saying, I have a business, but I cannot trust any Kenyan, that I have to go to search for a person from another country. And here I am saying, I am faithful and I suffer the consequences of my faithfulness. So who will connect me to that person who needs a faithful person? And what do you do when you're in that situation where your faithfulness lags you behind all the time when people are just going up the ladders? So the consequences sometimes, they cost you much. And sometimes your family also is involved. And you wonder, is it worth it?
No. And I always ask, who elects these leaders? Year after year we elect them. I'm sorry to say that maybe someone here knows what is the role of the woman rep in Kenya, because I hardly see them. The other day when we were really fighting for the Baby Sagini case, which I was very actively involved in because I also do advocacy, I tried to reach out to them and none of them responded. So who elects them? And when they're elected, do we hold them accountable? I'm not going to go to the street. I'm not a street person. I do advocacy. I don't fight.
Good afternoon, mostly ladies and a few gentlemen. Yeah, my name is William Ojonyo. In my other life, I was the national chairman of Clearing and Forwarding Agents nationally, and I also sat in the EAC board, Federation of Freight Forwarders Associations in East Africa. I also run my own business, and yeah, so that's about me. It's very difficult to be where I am today. So many ladies and very few men. So sometimes you feel a little intimidated. But you try and survive it, right? Yeah, I thank God for Abdi and his team, and a few of us are with me. So first of all, I want to congratulate you today, the Happy International Women's Day. That makes me think I'm sitting with international people, right? I don't have much, and thank you very much, Otiato, for inviting me here. This is what I like. Fortunately, I like being among women. Please don't doubt my gender. I like sitting among women because I have a few things I think about women. We have just heard here that we need authentic leaders, right? Yes. I can confirm that women are first among equals in being authentic. You know, by just a virtue of being a mother, women by nature are authentic. Do you want to agree with me? Yes, that's the truth. And I'm telling you from a man's point of view, that the only person a man can trust is a mother. That's the only person a man will go to and explain very intimate things and very hard stuff. A man. I don't know about women. So like usual, I'll give you maybe 3 minutes of my background so that you understand why I like being among women. Is that okay? If your mother chooses to confuse your identity, nobody will ever know that your identity is confused. So that's how strong you are. That's how strong you are. And that is the first reason I wanted to tell you that we are starting from an authentic point as women, and then the other things will now follow. So if we are looking for authentic human beings, you have a fast start, then the others follow. Abdi and myself will follow. I was the shortest serving national chairman of KIFWA, 1 year. And yet I was the most loved before I was elected. If you compare, those of us who have known about clearing and forwarding. I was the shortest serving, Faith, am I right? Right? 1 year, exactly 1 year. I was the only one who could not go for another year because I was too strict with myself, integrity issue. Okay? To the extent, I was at some point taking somebody to jail because they forged my signature. And I said, I can't work with you, so I walk away. Because I can't work with somebody who is person of no integrity. I am still here, so I am surviving, right? And I am here amongst women today to talk about myself and talk about a few other things. So I will tell you something about women. In freight and logistics, I have been in this for over 25 years, since 1998. I was a teacher in my early life, then I went into clearing and forwarding, and got a mess of an industry. Mess. Real mess. Then it was called buffing. It was about how much do you have for your entry to pass. Okay? Then at some point, I was thrown out by a customs officer who said, you can't sit here clearing agents outside. And I looked at him and I told him, what do you mean? You'll have to serve me here. I will not mention his name. That was many years ago. And then he started being rude, and I told him, I closed the door and I told him, you will serve me. And today you will have to know that even clearing agents have gone to school. And I told him I have a degree. Do you have one? He was taken aback, but I think he realized he's dealing with a madman. So eventually he served me, and I told him, I am sure I'm more school than you are. So you have to know that always integrity will pay up at some point. I never used to part with money for service. But I want to say that the percentage of women in logistics remains very minimal. Very minimal.
Just talk a little bit about the ministry and what we do. And then after that, I would love to hear from yourselves 1 or 2 questions about the challenges you've had or where you find that there are gaps that we can work together. Because as you understand, for government, we are here because you pay taxes. So you are our client, right? So if the CS had come, we probably read a speech, then he takes photos and he goes back to another engagement. But I want to take the opportunity to have a little bit more of an interaction, because I think that is what will help us move another step forward. Yeah, so with regard to the ministry and specifically my state department, we are responsible for moving people and goods from A to B, whether through the road, whether through rail, whether through air, or whether through maritime. Making a point of emphasizing that because in my department, in my ministry, there is also the Ministry of Roads. Roads are responsible for construction of roads. The road agencies, Kena, Kera, and Kura. We also oversight the implementation agencies, and one of the aspects of the implementation that the implementations do is that we have what is called a performance contract. In the performance contract, we take whichever government is there, what they are highlighting as their key priority areas, and we integrate it into the implementation year on year. So like right now, we've been very busy integrating the agenda of the Kenya Kwanza into what we are going to deliver. When you make it practical, there are aspects to do with engendering the different policies and also making sure that implementation of these policies is happening. When we say that 30% of procurement should go to women, we are making sure that our agencies are doing that. They have a deliverable and it is checked and it is marked and it is ticked off. When we talk about creating awareness, the same happens. It's in the performance contract, and the same must be delivered through the agencies as the implementers. When we come up with some of these policies, we come back and see how are our agencies implementing the policies. The other thing that we do is development of infrastructure. I think that is an obvious one. Building of roads and maintenance, expanding our rail, making sure that we are opening airports and making sure generally that all of those are working well. So with that one, we partner a lot, either with the National Treasury or development partners, to continue to bring in infrastructure development, because that is what will help to support trade and, by extension, social and political empowerment for all of us. Forums such as, there was a forum where we were talking to women in logistics. These are women who get into the truck driver's seat and move with the truck driver to transport their goods. In other instances, they are producers looking for how to get their products to the market. And we captured some of the concerns. For example, the big concern for those moving on the road was a lack of somewhere where we can stop and refresh, maybe prepare their meal and feel secure. And we continue to do this through development of roadside stations, which I think we have started together with Kenta, who are implementing. Interacting with government don't know what are their rights and what they're entitled to. Or maybe they have been intimidated about what they can access and what they cannot access. So having forums where we're able to interact with these people was something that actually helped to resolve a lot of issues. A lot of issues come up, like I remember a highlight of them were to do with Kenya Revenue Authority and the processes, and there's this little device they put on the trucks when they're moving, and sometimes they're not there. But the interaction where we were able to talk to them one-on-one, it helped those who are moving their goods on the ground to get remedies almost instantly. So we are working to improve on this. In my ministry, we're developing a database that will be able to give us information for everyone who is moving on the ground. We also interact with transport corridor authorities who help to monitor and tell us this is how much time you're being able to move goods, and we keep improving those efficiencies. But I think what I would urge all of us is to empower ourselves to understand what is it that happens in government, what am I entitled to, what can I get.
Very good questions, and actually some of them point at activities that are already going on. So for example, the first question about the transit toll charges. As a country in the EAC, we have actually said that within EAC countries, these are things that should not be charged. However, the challenge comes in with the implementation. Fortunately or unfortunately, Kenya has been the leader for quite some time in terms of progress in transport, and sometimes that doesn't go well with the neighbors because they feel they want to cut us, and that's why you find issues such as this. We have a forum through the various associations or representatives of transporters which raises these issues in a formal way. They give a complaint, they provide with evidence, and we take those to meetings that we have either within EAC or with Tanzania directly, and we tell them, you people are charging us these transit toll fees and you're not supposed to, because we're in a regional economic, the common rec. And with such we've been able to solve we call them these barriers. We have been able to solve these trade barriers. So I think my request would be, if maybe we can talk about how you can channel these issues so that we're able to raise them government to government, and we're able to tell Tanzania, listen, you're charging this and you're charging that. It's not in line with what we have agreed as a rec. Then we are able to eliminate that. I think I want to answer number 4 as well, about making the borders borderless. It's the same thing. The spirit of being EAC community is supposed to help with that. We're supposed to be interacting in the region as if we're in one country. I think you've seen that nowadays you can cross over to Tanzania, to Uganda, to Rwanda without your passport. You can use your ID. This facility is also supposed to help us to move freely within the region as we do trade. There are a lot of growing pains, of course, but we continue to address this through the EAC and also bilaterally. So again, I think if we can get some more details or the specifics about that, the challenges that you're experiencing on the ground, we're able to raise them in a bigger forum and have them addressed. With regard to the charges that the counties have as one moves from region to region, this is a big concern. It has been raised even nationally. We had the National Treasury interact with all the counties, and they went on a research, fact-finding, to understand what all these charges were. And out of that, a policy document was developed, and we took it to Parliament, where we were saying that these charges should not be there. Yeah, there are other ways for counties to make money without necessarily putting in these levies, which some of the levies that are charged are actually unconstitutional. And the National Treasury gave a lot of guidance with regard to that. The challenge came when we took it to the Council of Governors and told them, please take it up to implement, because a lot of them don't want to implement for whatever reason. For example, in some counties, some of these charges are not properly documented, so guess whose pockets they're going into. And that makes it difficult to enforce, because if the governors, the people who are leading the counties, say that they're not ready to take up this and implement it, then it leaves the challenge with the transporters, because they're the ones ultimately who are suffering. We will continue to push this agenda because I think the beautiful thing about a change in governance is you can bring up a pertinent issue again and say, listen, this and this and this is still happening. What gives us muscle and what gives us strength to be able to push some things through is your action. As associations, as transporters, when you come up and say, hey, listen, mnatufinilia sana. You know, government has to listen because they are the electorate. We see a lot of positive initiatives happen because the public have pushed and said, we need this and this and this to be done. So I want to say, with regard to those charges, let's bring it up again. Let's push it as an agenda with the new government and see if this can be embraced now within the counties, because that's the biggest challenge. There are opportunities for them to raise their own source revenue through other channels, but for whatever reason they keep coming back to this charge.
I think there are more. I think we're endangered as men. They can attest to that. And that's how we deal. So why we're here today, I think we're supporting one of our own. She's one of the women in our company, and we are happy that we're here to support you. Today we are a little bit thin because there are so many international women's functions happening across the country. Some are with the First Lady somewhere at the prisons. Some are with, where there are several places that we were meant to attend, but I chose to come here because I'm learning new things. So, as I say, Dr. Silpo Wheat, I sit as the head of women banking, but I sit in boards as well. Some boards, I won't mention them for now, but I remember one person asking how women are dealing in the politics. I'm in a public sector board, and I'm also a member of Women on Board Network. So I hold so many hats, but for today I'll discuss Standard Bank. So why are we here today? Of course, not just supporting our own, but Standard Bank is I know for those who don't know, we are the biggest bank in Africa by assets. We are in 25 countries. We are in around, I think, when you come to Kenya, we are in almost 10 counties. We are 160 years, and we are here to stay. The government owns 4% of our shares, so we are here to stay. And the reason why we started this proposition called DADA, I've been in the banking industry for 20 years, but I'm so elated to be part of this incredible solution that is called DADA. DADA simply means dare to aspire, dare to achieve. So for the women who are in this room, I'm certainly in that category. Because I can't imagine being in the trailer and talking about all this logistics and the rest. I was like, oh my God. I mean, we thought that you're having a tough job, but for sure you guys are doing a marvelous job. And well done for that. So at least glad in our heart to see women achieving as a standard. The reason we started DADA. DADA was actually started in the year 2019. What did we do? We partnered with one of our service providers, our partners called ISC, and we went through all the 47 counties. And what we're going to do, we're just going to check what is it that our financial institutions can support women with. And with that is when we came and coined up this beautiful proposition called DADA. I'm excited to say just on Friday, I think there's an award that we won. If you can Google, you can see that we're part of the top women proposition champions in this country. So why did we have to go through all the counties just to make sure that we support the women? We wanted to hear from the women. And with our partners who are IFC, we went through all the 47 counties before we started crafting this solution called DADA. Basically what we know is that, and from that, let me just say from that research, it's clear, of course, we have 50% of women in this country. It is clear that 80% of us are the ones who are working in the farm. It is clear that 80% of us who save, but don't ask me where we are saving because they are not in the banks. It is clear that 3% of the SMEs are held by women, and I've had some of you are entrepreneurs. And it is clear that only 1% of the agricultural farms are owned by women. So you can imagine, if you come to the bank and we ask you for security, you can imagine that kind of percentage of women you're talking about who cannot come into the banking industry and get support. Then it is also clear that only 10% of the women get financial from the bank. And it's not that they don't have money. I'm very sure there's nothing like women don't have money. We have the money. It's only how the bank looks at you that we try to train women
so that when you come to the bank, you come confidently and saying that I want 20 million, I want 3 billion, I want 1 billion, just like anybody else. So that's the reason we had that proposition called that. So apart from doing the financial solutions for women, which of course we have also tailored to make sure that it supports you, we know getting all this 10% to buy a vehicle is not easy, so we do 100% for BAF. We know it's not easy to get 10% to own a property, we give you 105% for the women. We know that we have women-specific insurance, we do have our tailor-made solutions for that. So we have the financial bit happening, which is okay, and it usually happens. But on the other side, we went ahead and said, can we deal the non-financial solutions? Why is it that it's only 10% of us that can walk confidently into a bank and ask for money? And part of it is what is happening today. We are training each other, we are talking to each other, we are networking, because you can tell the other, oh, I got this money from here, how can I be supported? So we do a lot in terms of non-financial solutioning that we started, and that's based on the voices of the women that went across. So what do? Of course, networking is one of the key things. I heard you guys are having a meeting, and I'm so excited everybody saying, okay, tomorrow. That's very good. I hope your next meeting will be part of it, and we'll offer breakfast as we come together and meet. Because one of our purposes is to make sure that women meet and just learn from each other. So networking is very key for us. Training is very key for us. You can have the 10 million, but as a bank, I know you as a 1 million person. Reason, you get the 10 million, but 9 billion doesn't come to us. For me, when you ask me that I need to know Emily, I'll just go to Google Emily and just check what is in the account. So we really try to train women how to be bankable. Not that we are not, as in how to be bank ready. So that is very key for us, and we go across board. One of our partners somewhere, I said that we have a lot of sessions going across. One of them, there are some women who are saying, oh, you guys are saying that there's money, yet you are declining a loan. We said we're not declining your loans. We are training you so that when you come in, then your loans are not declined. Now, when you realize that some of the loans we cannot give to women, what did we do? Because remember, you're also regulated by CBK. So for you to qualify for a loan as a balance sheet, then you must, your transactions and your turnovers and everything must be right. So what did we decide to do? We have other 3 options that we're dealing, so that we make some of the women to move into the level whereby you can get loans through the balance sheet. So what do? We partnered with GIZ, and we are giving catalytic funds to women. We are trying to just make sure women, take the money. We won't look for your financials, we won't look for what you're doing, but just take the money, try and start becoming financially, attractable to any financial institution. Another thing we've done is we're doing grants. I hope that next time we are coming up with grant, I'll share with you guys so that part of you can also get the grant. Just the other day, I think we released close to 5 million per grant. Last month, we did for 7 women in various areas. Grant is just the thing, you take the money, use it, please. Can you please make sure that you turn over your business and just be financially upright, but we don't ask you to pay it back. So that one is part of the USID, just make sure some of the women also get into the credit worth category, not credit worth per se, but in balance sheet kind of, loan lending. And the third thing we've done is, because we ask you for securities and you don't have, remember we talked about the 1% of women only having the federal fund. So we also have partnership with the likes of AGF, the likes of ITI, AGF, African Guarantee Fund, and AFAWA. AFAWA is one of our key stakeholders.
Fully women-only department in Kenya. So luckily, the department is here today. So we have our manager, Cynthia, so she's our boss, and my colleague, Claire. So who is BioLife? So BioLife is a social enterprise that mainly focuses on clean cooking energy and solar products. So our main mission as BioLife is to empower people while also trying to protect the environment by providing clean energy products. And our main vision for 2025 is to make sure that we get to 20 million people who have access to clean energy, while at the same time getting 3 million tons of carbon emissions. So that's quite a lot, eh? And as you know, like, we are moving towards a carbon-free world. Like, carbon has become like a very important part of every business, just trying to make sure that we are producing clean energy for everyone. So BioLife works on one type of model called parallel innovation. So this is where the emerging markets come in. So in BioLife we have two parts of the business. That's the emerging markets and outdoor recreation. Outdoor recreation basically focuses on anything that is camping, stuff you just buy for fun. Like, you have cooking pots that you use for camping, you have headlamps specifically for things you want to do for fun. So that's called outdoor recreation. Then we have emerging markets, where this is products we sell to emerging markets. That's places where you need the energy for survival. That's it. You don't have access to electricity, so what do you use? Solar, wind, or any other form of energy. So BioLife focuses on solar. At the same time, we also produce tools for the emerging market. That's the kawaida jiko that you use at home. So BioLife produces that. So we have our own models for that. I will show you that. BioLife was founded in New York. That's where our main head office is. Nairobi is just a branch of the head office in New York. So that's where our main office is. We have over 80 employees in both offices, and we have our main manufacturing plant in China for both the solar and so where we operate, the blue part is Kenya. That's where we are. Then we have South Asia. That's where most of our factories are and some of our distributors. We have United States of America, which is where our head office is. Then we have the sub-Saharan African countries that we focus on. Mostly we do a lot in the Western Africa. That's the French-speaking countries. That's our main market where we sell our products. So what makes BioLife products different from what everyone else is selling?
Muhati, not Mutahi. Mimi ni Mnuya Mjaluo.
I'm really sorry.
So my name is Cynthia Muhati. I'm the supply chain manager, emerging markets at BioLife. I'm happy to be here with my team. We call ourselves Powerpuff Girls. We just move things. Yes, I'm supposed to talk about training people to grow as business grows. But I want to give you a story about a girl somewhere back then in the days. So there's this girl, and this was a 23-year-old girl, 22, 23, who found herself, not even found herself, got a job in a public quoted organization back then. Yeah? And in this company, the company was going through change. And the change was that the management was changing. The management for the organization was changing at the time. We all know, and I'm saying we all know because looking at this group, I'm seeing we are people who've been in employment for a while. In most of the organizations, if there is change in management, you'll find that the top management or the mid-level management are the ones who leave. Because they're the ones who are like, how will I work with this boss? How will it be? I'm used to doing this. I'm used to doing my things this way, you know, and all that. So this lady finds herself in that organization. She's gotten a job. She's very happy. She's young. And it's an organization she had when she was in school. So, you know that excitement. Yeah. You know, she's all over it and telling her family and her friends. So she starts working.
And this lady joined the organization as a customer relations officer. So she starts working, and she has, there are two of them, and it's a new department. So she has this boss who is really supportive, who liked her even more than the other lady. Liked her in the sense that the guy could, you know, when you hire, you can automatically tell strengths of your people, your team members. So Cynthia, this is Cynthia's strength, Jane, this is her strength. So this guy was working very closely with this young girl, and he started teaching this young girl the ropes, okay? And this girl was very enthusiastic, like I said. So by and by, 2 months down the line, one day, this girl sees the boss, her boss, in the morning, I think around 9 or 10 o'clock, carrying a briefcase, because the guy comes to work with a briefcase. He was a young guy though. And the guy is passing across along the corridors with his briefcase and walking very fast and going. And the windows were quite big that you can actually see that so-and-so has left with his briefcase. So he's either going for a meeting, you know, that's the only thing that would come to someone's mind. So 2 days later, the guy has not shown up at work. Only for this girl to hear that the guy left. He was poached by a competitor. I'm using the word poached because he went to work for a competitor, you know. Like now if I left BioLite and I go and work for, I don't know who I would put there because us we're B2B. But if you're B2C, then I would say, I leave BioLite and I go to work for maybe M-Copper, you know. So I'm just crossing over. So the guy left. This girl did not know. This guy did not even have the courtesy of telling this girl that, hey, I have left. It never happened. So she was left hanging, okay? So 2-3 weeks down the line, someone else is brought. And this person that comes in comes from Mombasa office. Now to take over that role. A very nice guy, and they start working well with this girl again because this girl is very enthusiastic to learn. Remember, this girl has come in with the new management and she's like, I want to get there. This is a company I've been really, it's one of those companies that because I was hearing them in school, this is the place. So she starts working with this new guy, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6, 7, 8 months there. The guy leaves. Yes. The guy leaves. The guy has been poached again by a shipping line that was starting a division in freight and a division in clearing and forwarding, those things, you know. So the girl is left alone. Now the girl is here. She's been left as orphan with a group of people, men and women who know their work. Men and women who go to customs every single day to clear shipments, to clear entries, whatever it is. They go to ICD, they go where? And those days are those things of when you're going to carry with the entries. I had someone talk about it. There is money that goes with that, with those entries. Yeah? And eventually this girl finds herself with P&L for the department every month coming to her desk. So you're looking at costs that you do not know. You have no clue. But you see now you have to sign on them. Because now the CEO said he's not hiring. He's not hiring because he feels this girl is capable and the team that is there, they can take care of that. This girl at that time is how many years old? 24, 25, 24 years, thereabout. So the girl finds herself in a really big corner, a really squeezed corner, having to even visit clients because this company had really big clients, moving quite good business. And she stayed. But something pushed this girl. She realized she's doing all these things, but she doesn't understand this industry. Because she didn't come in as a freight person. She didn't come in as a clearing and forwarding person. So she says, now, I want to know. So she tells these guys in one of the meetings, I want to start going with you to KRA. I want to start going with you to ICD. I want to start going with you to Mombasa, wherever. So she started, like, I want to go and see what happens. Oh, you're going to push entries. How does it go? You know? Oh, this officer, we're doing bonds, etc., and we are not able to, so we need money. Sawa, sign for the money. step further and said, now I'm going to register myself for a course in this. She went and did shipping, clothing and forwarding. That time I think it was only 6 months or something. So she went and did that. So she started understanding Incoterms. She started understanding all these things that happened. So remember, she's gotten thinking about, oh, I'm just for myself. That is me. I started my career as a customer service person in a company called Express Kenya. Yes, that's where I started. And when I left Express Kenya, I went to a multinational and I helped plant other departments in the other countries and made quite a big supply chain division. And I handle a regional supply chain as a procurement and logistics manager. So I've done procurement of all trade in that area. And when I have people in my department, the people who have worked under me, in all the organizations I have worked so hard, I have pushed them to become all-rounded. If you do not want to be all-rounded, it's really up to you. But I try so hard to mentor you to get to that space. Cynthia here, she doesn't work for BioLite. She's a testimony. I have Samora and I have Claire. So ladies and gentlemen, I am a renewable energy enthusiast. I've been in the solar space for the longest, energy space for the longest in my life. Actually, yeah. Apart from Express Kenya, the organizations that I've worked for have been the energy space. I'm a board member at KEREA. KEREA is a Kenya Renewable Energy Association. It takes care of that kind of question that came from here about panels, etc. We are the ones who do the advocacy. So I sit in that board, and yes, don't knew me. So that was the story of Cynthia. So I'm going to speak about training people to grow as the business grows. These are very short slides because I think I just want to engage and really hear out. I'm not a trainer, but I think we can learn from one another. So what is training? And I tried to define what really training is. There could be trainers here, so it will help me out if you feel like I'm going off somewhere. But I just looked at training as a planned process where we want to modify our attitude, our skills, our knowledge. That's why we're going for training.
And how we are conducting our affairs, getting organized, having a registered group where we can be able to voice some of the things we were asking the lady from the Ministry of Transport. Those are things that can be channeled. And I know I sit in other forums like even KTA, I'm a member of KTA, and I know when you're a group of such magnitude and you voice something, you are actually called to even go sit with the CS to see what it is that can be done to be able to solve a problem. So we definitely have an opportunity, and now it is on us to take up the opportunity with the global theme. How about us trying to adopt to go with the global theme so that we go in line with the others? The theme this year was digital. It was about innovation and technology for gender equality. So it would have opened another discussion about what's happening in the digital space, about AI and how it's going to affect us as people in supply chain. So how about us just adopting, because the digital theme, how I look at it is that it addresses something that is happening at that particular time, instead of us having our own theme. And then finally, I look forward to the day we are going to have this forum. Nothing about men coming, but this being a woman's thing, I look forward to the day we'll have this thing, women only, the photographers are women, everybody, even the waitresses are women, so that, and then we can have a theme, we can dress up, we can, we can just be women and feel nice. I look forward to that day.